Welcome back to the Spinoffs podcast. I'm Brayden.
I'm Jonah.
Yeah, it's been a minute. He kind of forgot what he has
Yeah,
to
I
do.
forgot my line.
Sorry about that. We haven't posted in a while. It's been...
The third one was supposed to be up, but it got screwed up pretty bad.
Yeah, no, the third one got messed up, and
I blame that on editing.
No, it's not really my fault. It probably is.
It's
but
fine. It's fine.
No,
What's important is that we're here now with you, the viewer, and we once again have your attention for some reason.
I don't know why they keep coming back.
Probably not. This one's probably gonna have 10 and a half views.
So today, our segments for this episode. It's like
We are literally planning this as
it's
we
like
go.
1
It's a
a.m.
free flow.
It's like 1 a.m. It's bad. It promised tomorrow. He's got to be up early for work.
This might be bad.
Today our segments.
This is either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. I'm either going to fall asleep in the middle of the podcast or we learned in psychology class about stream of consciousness, where you just put all your thoughts out there without any editing within your brain. I might just go to stream of consciousness thinking.
Yeah, that could probably get our podcast taken down real quick.
Start talking about certain individuals.
So today our segments we're going to start off with sports. Again, we're doing this on the fly. We don't really have a set amount of segments. Sports might take a while to do. So to start off,
introducing the notebooks. This is probably going to be something we use now a lot to just kind of keep track of stuff we write down for sports, because it's good to always be prepared.
Yes.
Unlike my test that I take in school.
Yeah, me too.
I find it best to be prepared for these segments.
But we're going to start off today with checking up on how our predictions for the beginning of the season went.
I think we should do that next week, because we have a lot of stuff to get through just with our segment today. That's a good one we'll check in next week.
All right.
I think
well,
that
yeah.
makes a lot more sense.
We're going to be doing our GOAT pitcher and our GOAT position player from each franchise in MLB history.
This might take a while.
We agree on a lot. We disagree on some too. We could get into some.
I understand that it's hard to be perfect like me with my opinions and hot takes, but he tries, so cut him some slack. I think it's time to start off with the Baltimore Orioles. Yep. I'm curious, what do you have, good sir, for your pitchers and hitters?
Well, for my starting pitcher, I have Jim Palmer. And for my position player, I have Cal Ripken Jr.
I concur. I have Jim Palmer, a 3-time Cy Young Award winner. For those of you who do not know, the Cy Young Award is for the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. And he is the youngest pitcher in MLB history to throw a shutout in the World Series. And overall, I think he might have been the leader in team ERA for the Orioles, barring maybe some random reliever, probably. Yeah. There's always some random reliever that balls out.
And then you can't forget about the Iron Man.
Yeah,
Never missed a game.
Our pick for the greatest Oriole position player of all time,
Chris Davis,
will be... what's actually funny is on the list online, you go through them, they put Chris Davis at number 8. I was like, oh, geez. They do realize this man was 0-154 at one point, right?
That's how you know you have a poverty franchise if Chris Davis is top 10
because I think I was reading Bleacher Report, and this stuff was published 11 years ago. So Chris Davis was probably actually still a decent player in
back then,
2012,
Yeah.
So,
but in all seriousnness, it's Cal Ripken Jr., one of the best shortstops of all time.
MLB's Iron Man, 2-time MVP, and randomly popped off with the bat in 2 seasons. Had 35 home runs, 115 RBIs, and close to a 330 average in some of the most impressive MVP seasons of all time. And for my money, the greatest defensive infielder there ever was. I mean, the guy is a
Ozzie
wizard.
Smith?
Better than Ozzie Smith. Cal Ripken Jr. is a wizard with the glove, though. Absolutely brilliant.
Ozzie Smith won 20 Gold Gloves.
Cal Ripken would have played, if he would have played 20 plus seasons, he absolutely would have 20 plus Gold Gloves.
Okay. Who's next?
The Jays.
The Blue Jays. All right. For my pitcher, I have Roy Halladay. And for my position player, I have Carlos Delgado.
It's a good try. I can agree with you with Roy Halladay, the winner of the Cy Young Award winner. He's actually the AL's winningest pitcher of the 2000s. A really, really good pitcher for the Blue Jays. And they had to trade him to the Phillies so that they could start a rebuild that they would end up coming out of in the early 2010s. But them trading away Roy Halladay kickstarted that rebuild, as he was their ace of the team for much of the mid-2000s. A really, really good player. He had career highs in 22 wins in one season, which was the most in MLB.
Rest in peace, Roy Halladay.
Yeah. 9 complete games. Roy Halladay, beast of a player.
Absolutely.
Then I've got Jose Bautista is my greatest position player of all time. A 6-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger. Should have won the MVP in 2011, although I could see why they gave it to Justin Verlander.
Yeah.
I disagree. The MVP should have gone to him in 2011. He had a .302 batting average, 43 home runs, 103 RBIs, and an OPS over 1,000. You're telling me that guy's not the MVP? Those Trout-like stats, ladies and gentlemen. For anyone who is a huge Mike Trout fan, I believe he's the most efficient player of the modern era by like a country mile. Every stat backs it up from WRC plus to OPS plus. We had Jose Bautista play a season similar to Mike Trout in 2011, and he doesn't win the MVP for a guy who only can affect 40 games. I'm not a huge fan of starting pitchers winning MVPs ever, because if you can only affect 40 games, it's not very good value, in my opinion.
Well, Carlos Delgado is a multiple-time All-Star. He's got a career on the Blue Jays. He had a career 949 OPS, 1,058 RBIs, 336 home runs. I did have Jose Bautista was a close second for me. He does lead the team in WAR and in multiple other statistics, but I just barely gave the edge to Carlos Delgado there.
On top of being the WAR leader, Jose Bautista, he has the most infamous moment.
That's true.
Other than have they ever won a World Series? Have the Blue Jays won a World Series?
They beat the Braves.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe they're winning the World Series. But the most infamous play in Blue Jay history, that bat flip against the Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
In Game 5. My God. Yeah. One of the great plays when I was growing up. Everyone wanted to be Jose Bautista. Everyone was bat flipping like crazy after that game.
And then the next season, Jose Bautista fought Elvis Andrus.
No, that was Rafael
Odor, yeah.
He's only 29 years old. Me and Ryan were looking at that today. He's 29.
I noticed that like last year. I was like,
this man has been in the MLB since like he was 18 years old. I swear to God. This man has been around forever. So, Jose Bautista, best positional player to ever play for the Blue Jays.
All right, who we got next? Sox. Red Sox. Roger Clemens. And I got Big Papi. I know you don't, but
how are you going to go against one of the greatest hitters of all time in Ted Williams? And then I have also Roger Clemens. It's hard to go against a guy who won 5 Cy Youngs and an MVP trophy. He has 220 strikeout games in a season. He's the only pitcher to ever do this. Roger Clemens.
He's probably the only pitcher to ever have 220 strikeout games in general.
Like, he is something else.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like, Roger Clemens easily cracks my top 3 of greatest pitchers of all time. Right up there with Greg Maddux and Randy Johnson. Those guys, I personally love Randy Johnson. He's probably the number 1 pitcher of all time. There's probably a little personal bias behind that because I absolutely love watching Randy Johnson pitch. Yeah, but
my number 1 pitcher of all time is Greg Maddux.
And there's a lot of bias.
There's some bias there too. Yeah, I mean, I never got to watch him play, but he threw those pitches that made you want to quit baseball every time. I mean, ball starts on the outside part of the right-handed batter's box.
We're going to talk about those guys here in a minute.
Yeah.
But this is about the Red Sox. Ted Williams, he lost career time to serve in World War II, so he gets the veteran bonus from me. Support the troops. This man does not support the troops by picking David Ortiz. He hates veterans because he did not pick Ted Williams.
That's not true.
Yes, it is true.
Nope.
He had he had a batting average of 406 in 1941, one of the highest in MLB history. The guy was a hitting machine. He had a career batting average of 354, had an on-base percentage of something like close to the 390s. Just one of the best contact and like on-base guys to ever play the game. Really good. I don't know about the power now. I should have looked more at the power numbers, but I'm sure he did plenty of that too.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you that he was amazing. I mean, I'm going to be also completely honest. I picked Big Papi because mostly recency bias and because he does have one of the best moments in Red Sox history with that grand slam.
I thought that was Shane Victorino.
No, that was Big Papi. He tied the game. It was like, I forgot the comeback. It was like.
Are you talking about the ones hit against the Tigers?
I think so, yeah.
That was Shane Victorino.
No, Big Papi hit a grand slam. Like no.
There was two of them. Big Papi may hit the other, but Shane Victorino
Big
was
Papi
one of
hit
them.
the game tying one.
And then Shane Victorino hit the one that put him up 9-5. Because it was 5-1. Yours checks out that it's the tying one, and then Shane Victorino hit the one that was 9-4.
Yeah.
Because I have a video, or I watched a Legacy of Failure for the Tigers video, and Lord help them in Game 7 of the ALCS, give up 2 towering grand slams after leading 5-1.
Yeah. Well, at least they didn't, run into David Freese.
Yeah, the Texas Rangers is another poverty franchise.
Then Ron Washington started doing cocaine.
All right, Yankees. I hate the Yankees.
We all hate the Yankees. This is pretty straightforward, though. Mariano, Rivera, and Babe Ruth.
Yeah, pretty hard to argue
with either of those.
Anything else. Greatest closer of all time.
Yep.
I mean, the first time I ever saw Mariano Rivera on a baseball game was like 2012, and I thought he looked like a skeleton. He had a really bad picture of Mariano Rivera in MLB Baseball 12. It was really scary. He was 40 years old, but he's still like a 92 overall.
Yeah.
Just like really impressive.
And not only was he one of the greatest closers of all time, or is the greatest closer of all time, he's also got the greatest walkout ever. Enter Sandman. Lights go out. I don't care about Evan Diaz's trumpets. I really don't.
Says the Braves fan.
Oh, also true.
I'm sticking true with my prediction, my early season prediction, that the Mets will knock out the Braves this year in the postseason.
The Mets are like 4th in the NL East right now.
They'll get it together.
No, they won't. They're digging themselves a hole so deep they're not gonna get out of it.
We'll see.
Max Scherzer's pitching like I don't know, high schooler. He's not looking good right now.
And then Babe Ruth. What else can you say other than?
I don't know. The only argument I could really see here is Lou Gehrig.
There is no argument.
Not really an argument.
It's the best player to ever play baseball. A man that had a Hall of Fame career as a pitcher and a hitter. Shohei Ohtani wishes he was Babe Ruth, the GOAT. And unfortunately, he was a Yankee. But you know what?
He was also a Red Sox. He was a Brave for a little bit.
He's a Brave for like 80 games.
He was a Brave for like a season, and he was still on the team. He wasn't always a Yankee.
I'm sorry. That's
another reason. Another reason to pick Big Papi is he broke the curse of the Bambino.
Literally does not matter compared to a man who served in World War II. Rays.
Yeah. I got David Price and Evan Longoria here.
Yeah, we both had the same ones. The Rays are a relatively new franchise, so they don't have a whole lot of people to pick from. I'll be willing to put money that Wander Franco is the best.
Wander Franco will be on this list.
Yeah, he will be the greatest Ray of all time by the time he is either done playing in Tampa at the end of his 11-year contract, or by the time that they trade him. I don't know which one. I could see it going in either direction.
One of them too.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh my God, $20 million. That's like at least $10 million more than we're ever willing to spend on a player.
Yeah.
You know they're going to try to go half-seas with Montreal. Like, play half their home games in Montreal. Just because, yeah, Rays, that's going to work out really well. You want to know why you don't bring anyone to the stadium? It's because you put your stadium in not even Tampa Bay. You put it in St. Petersburg.
I've been to Tropicana. It is awful.
It is 30 minutes away from Tampa Bay, and you wonder why people won't show up to the ball field. It's because it's not even in the city where the team is located.
It's probably the second worst ballpark in the league behind the Oakland Coliseum.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the A's. They make me angry. Like, irreparably angry. All right. So, AL Central, we got the Guardians.
All right, I got Mark Buehler and Frank Thomas.
Mark Buehler was a White Sox. Smart guy.
Bob Feller and Jim Thome.
I got Jim Thome, one of the greatest hitters ever. And I got Bob Lemon.
You have any stats on Bob Lemon?
I really don't. I'll be honest.
Bob Feller won a Triple Crown and threw 279 complete games.
Fair enough. I mean, it's hard to argue with.
He might have also served in World War II.
I love the troops. I love the troops.
Yeah.
All right, Tigers.
Verlander and Miggy.
Yeah, it's easily Verlander and Miggy. I've probably said this already on the podcast, but Miguel Cabrera is probably like one of, if not my favorite baseball players ever. One of the guys who got me into baseball, definitely. Triple Crown winner, 2-time MVP, face of the franchise.
Absolutely.
Any kind of like best leader in the dugout, no character issues. You're just classy player.
I've never heard of any person who has ever disliked Miguel Cabrera.
For real. There's not anyone who dislikes Miguel Cabrera. Like, how could you?
That's got to be.
And if you do, and you're watching this video, then I will find you, and I will hurt you. Justin Verlander, AL Cy Young winner, won the MVP in 2011 after winning a Triple Crown in pitching. Which, if you were going to give an MVP to a pitcher,
it's got to be a Triple Crown season.
It has to be a Triple Crown season. Had the most wins, had the most strikeouts, and had the best ERA.
Yep.
So, I mean, once again, it's an argument of what you value, quantity or quality, because, once again, definitely quality. You got to give it to Verlander. Hardly anyone ever does a Triple Crown in pitching. But... I mean, how much do you value the quantity of Bautista, I suppose? But the 2011 MVP debate is another topic for another day.
Yeah.
All right, Royals.
Is it Brett Saberhagen? Yeah. And George Brett.
Yeah, so Brett Saberhagen is a guy I learned about researching for this video. A 2-time Cy Young winner. And oddly enough, had a 2.85 ERA in even numbered season, but had an above 3 ERA, about the 3.85 for seasons that were odd. So, kind of like the San Francisco Giants of pitching, where they do really well in even years, but odd years are terrible. Really, really weird. And then George Brett is pretty much like the only positional player I've ever known for the Royals. Until Salvador Perez and that team won the World Series.
Bo Jackson.
I mean, seriously, anybody on the Royals in the modicum of value in the 80s and 90s were traded for what little they could get for the Yankees.
I mean, and then there's Bo Jackson.
It's just, the Royals are literally the definition of a poverty franchise outside of 2 World Series.
Yep.
They are run like a poverty franchise. They will continue to be a poverty franchise until the MLB introduces a salary cap and a fixed cap.
Ever.
Yeah, which is disappointing. Twins.
Walter Johnson and Harmon Killebrew.
Johan Santana and Herman Killebrew.
Let's hear your argument for Santana.
So Santana was a 2-time Cy Young winner, and I had marked down that he was traded to the Mets as a cap dump. Probably because I was still in my mood, being angry about small market teams having to trade.
Yeah, Walter Johnson has 417 career wins, a 2.17 career ERA, 2 MVPs, 3,508 career strikeouts, and 3 Triple Crowns. The reason he doesn't have a Cy Young is because he pitched with Cy Young.
So
he's one of the first 5 Hall of Famers
need to
ever.
preface this by saying that a lot of my list was comprised of people after 1950. I dipped in. I went in for a few before 1950 if I felt that they were talent, or if they were just all-time talent. So I probably chose Johan Santana for that reason. Because I feel like I don't really want to count too many guys from World War One. I don't really care. They played in caps.
Yeah, but even still, you can't really discredit those numbers.
Yes, you can. I just did. They played in caps. They played in color.
Anybody who knows
Or they played
MLB
in
The Show knows that Walter Johnson is really, really good.
Okay, well.
He's impossible to hit against.
Yeah, you're a gamer, whatever. White Sox.
Well, I already said Mark Buehler and Frank Thomas.
The Auburn man himself, Frank Thomas, the big unit.
Nope, that's Randy Johnson. Frank Thomas is the big hurt.
The big hurt, whatever. Same. I knew that.
Randy Johnson fan right here, guys.
I had a slip up of words. Calm down. He is one of the only sluggers in the 1990s not to use steroids.
Yeah.
I mean, not a cheater. He's an honest person, and you know what? That speaks a lot to his character and to Auburn University's character. Just saying. Surely Auburn would never hire a football coach who would have any illegal activities at all. Definitely not something we would do. But
LSU would never do that either.
Yeah.
Definitely not Les Miles.
Definitely not Arkansas hiring a guy who literally slept with a bunch of the cheerleaders. I had a conversation with Brett Cooksey about that today, about Bobby Petrino.
Louisville had Bobby Petrino and Rick Pitino.
Surely Texas A&M won't hire an OC like that. Who is that guy?
Louisville had Bobby Petrino and Rick Pitino at the same time. Two horrible human beings.
Anyway, back to Frank Thomas. He had 7 consecutive seasons of at least 20 home runs, 100 RBIs, and 100 walks. No other player has done this more than 4 times.
Not even Barry Bonds.
Not even Babe Ruth. It's impressive. And he had the best OPS in a season since Ted Williams. More points for Ted Williams. How dare you pick Big Papi and disrespect troops like that? God.
I didn't want to pick a guy from the 1940s.
Yeah, whatever. You use that now, and you're pulling out like Walter Johnson. Literally sounds like Clark Kent-esque. Like,
it's not a real person.
Yeah, you're
definitely
not,
isn't.
No, it's definitely someone from the 1910s. Your name is Walter.
I think he is from the 1910s, actually.
Yeah, I know. Walter's like such a 1910 name.
True.
Walter. Like, it's such like an upper class British name.
All right, West.
Let's start with the Angels. For their best pitcher of all time, I went with Nolan Ryan.
Yep.
Top 3 in Cy Young voting 3 times, and he led the league in strikeouts all 7 years.
I don't know how this man never won a Cy Young. I really don't.
I told you, I have a hot take now after researching for this video that Nolan Ryan is the most overrated pitcher of all time. And it's because if you look at his career stats, he was always good, never great. He's one of those guys where the flair and the attitude and the way that they play convince you that they are better than what they are. And he had a crap ton of strikeouts, which is a sexy stat to look at for pitchers that don't really tell you how good they are. And then I have Mike Trout, who, I said, is probably the most historically efficient baseball player since, like, Babe Ruth.
That's undisputed.
I mean...
Oh, who else could it be? Tim Salmon. They like their fish. There's somebody in the organization right now named Mike Fish.
Literal wall. The corpse of Albert Pujols.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
They had David Freese on that team the year after he won the World Series, because that's what the Angels do. They play well in the World Series, like Anthony Rendon, and then they lock him up to a massive contract, only to spend the rest of their career in Anaheim hurt.
Yep. Anthony Rendon. Prime example.
All right, so Rangers.
I have Nolan Ryan and Pudge Rodriguez.
I have Pudge Rodriguez and Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers is second in wins, third in ERA, third in win percentage. This is all time for the Rangers. Nolan Ryan is nowhere to be found in any of these categories, by the way, for a guy who's supposedly a legendary pitcher.
Nolan Ryan fought somebody on the Rangers at the age of 50. He is that guy.
He's also a very overrated pitcher. All right. And then Pudge Rodriguez, what can you say? Just a really...
Greatest catcher of all time.
No, Johnny Bench better. But Pudge, really, 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 really good. For the Rangers, obviously the face of the franchise. And until probably Adrian Beltre came around.
Yeah, probably. I would agree with that.
Or maybe A-Rod. Yeah, A-Rod probably took the mantle until he ran himself out of town in 2003. All right, A's.
Dennis Eckersley and Ricky Henderson.
So I went with Ricky Henderson and Vida Blue.
Explain Vida Blue.
Vida Blue was a Cy Young winner, and this was his best season.
Oh,
by
the way, rest in peace, Vida Blue. He just passed away a few days ago.
Yes, and he's disrespecting a dead man by picking against Vida Blue. I respect dead people, and I care for them greatly. So out of respect, I went for Vida Blue. He had a 1.82 ERA with the opponent's batting average being 182 against, which is a weird but true stat.
Yeah, Dennis Eckersley had 320 saves after he had started for 12 years.
Vida Blue better. You got a cool name.
Dennis Eckersley was one of the first starters to transition to a closer and absolutely dominate everybody.
Well, Vida Blue didn't have to wimp out and be a one-inning pitcher, personally. He just went off and ran himself out of town like a real man. Had a brawl with his manager. Like a real man. Real men solve their issues with fist. There I go again with that stream of consciousness thought.
Let's see, what time is it actually?
It's 1:27. All right,
Yeah.
we gotta continue on with the Mariners.
Randy Johnson and Ken Griffey Jr.
Close, but not close enough. Randy Johnson and the Japanese sensation Ichiro Suzuki. Isn't that what that's what the guy on the Cubs is Seiya Suzuki, right?
Seiya Suzuki, yeah.
Seiya.
Look, I'm not going to disagree with your Ichiro take.
And I'm not going to disagree with your Ken Griffey Jr.
Honestly,
take.
if somebody were to come in here and mention Edgar Martinez, we wouldn't disagree with them either.
Yeah, we were talking about this before we taped this video. But, like, there's no wrong answer here because the Mariners might have the greatest collection of individual talent that never won a World Series, like, ever.
It's them or the Marlins.
It's definitely the Mariners. Like, I love the Marlins, but their players are, like, good. The Mariners players are in, like, a whole nother echelon. I mean, you have Randy Johnson never won a World Series here. Ichiro never won a World Series here. Ken Griffey Jr. never won a World Series here. Felix Hernandez never won a World Series here. Edgar Martinez never won a World Series here. Like, the amount of talent they had, A-Rod, Adrian Beltre, the amount of talent they had here in the late 90s and early 2000s is disgusting. And the fact that they never won a World Series, Bill Pavesi is one of the worst general managers in the history of baseball. I will stick with that.
What was it, 116 games won in one season just for a first-round exit?
No, they made it to the divisional round. That is a round one exit, actually, isn't it?
At that time, yeah, because there wasn't a wild card
game. I don't know. They lost to the Yankees. It might have been the ALCS.
There wasn't a wild card game, and that's all I know.
They might have lost the Yankees in the ALCS, but once again, the evil empire strikes again because we're not allowed to have anything nice. Although Randy Johnson left the year before that. So
if Randy Johnson would have stayed 1 year, he would have had 2 World Series rings instead of just 1.
Maybe.
Diamondbacks legend.
Notoriously great Diamondbacks pitcher Randy Johnson literally picked up a franchise on his irrelevant franchise and said, "You're coming with me to the World Series.
I'm going to throw a perfect game." There you
go. Okay.
6-10.
Astros.
I got Nolan Ryan and Craig Biggio.
Once again, I'm continuing my theme here of hating on Nolan Ryan.
I'm just making him mad by picking Nolan Ryan.
No, you did this. You already filled this out before you were over here.
No. I had Verlander there, and I changed it to Nolan Ryan after what you said.
Why?
Because I want to make you mad.
I don't get that. Justin Verlander won him a World Series, had one of the a 1.82 ERA, and I've talked about this in my season predictions. But he held off Dylan Cease in what was a historic season for some guy who's 39 years old. And the fact that he's with Kate Upton too just makes him all the better. Justin Verlander is a winner on and off the field. So, he gets to represent 2 franchises on this list.
Yeah.
And then for my hitter, I went with Jeff Bagwell.
Craig Biggio. Craig Biggio spent 19 years in Houston, had 3,060 hits, 4 Gold Gloves, 291 home runs. By the way, he played in the Astrodome almost his entire career, one of the most unfriendly hitter parks of all time, and he won 5 Silver Sluggers.
I mean, ladies, all he does is tally up a whole bunch of hits to make it sound impressive. Jeff Bagwell had a better career average than Craig Biggio. He also won an MVP. Craig Biggio did not do this. Jeff Bagwell was a 6-time All-Star as well as a 3-time Silver Slugger. This guy was better. He may not have the longevity, but he was a better Astro than Craig Biggio was. And you can ask Ryan about that. I bet he'll agree.
Ryan agrees with me. Actually, Ryan says Jose Altuve, who was close up there on my list too.
Yeah, he was 3rd, but I didn't know should I knock him for cheating? I said yes.
Yep. Yeah, that's where he got it for me too. But Ryan agrees with the Biggio.
Yeah.
My dad agrees with that too.
So
I think we're on to the NL.
Yeah. That's it for the AL.
This we went over before.
Yeah, we pretty much went over the entire NL before we started this video.
We agree on everything but one in the NL.
Really?
In the NL East.
Okay.
That's what I meant to say, not the NL.
Okay, so Dodgers.
Starting in the West?
Yeah, we're starting in the West this time. Okay. We're going to continue the theme of West teams.
Clayton Kershaw and Duke Snyder.
Duke Snyder and Sandy Koufax. So I'm not. It's one of those things with the Mariners. I'm not going to disagree with Clayton Kershaw.
Lowest career ERA as of a few days ago. 3-time Cy Young, threw a no-hitter, won an MVP.
Yeah, Sandy's
won a ring.
Sandy's resume is pretty much the same thing: 3 Cy Youngs, an MVP, 4 seasons of an ERA under 2.
I mean, yeah.
They're the same.
They're the same pitcher. Heck, let's just throw Eric Gagne in there too.
I mean,
he's a closer, but still.
I mean, he's the only. Did he win a Cy Young? I know Britton was super close. Britton got 2nd, and Gagne either won it or he was just finished just barely ahead of Zach Britton.
Did Gagne win a Cy Young as a reliever? I'm gonna need you to look that up.
I don't know. Eric Gagne, did he win a Cy Young? I don't know. Did Eric
Gagne
win Cy Young? Yeah, he won it in 2003. He's the only closer to have ever won a Cy Young.
Well, we might have to change our decision.
No.
He's number 3 probably.
Yeah. Really, both these guys are pretty much clones of each other. We've just realized.
Yep. Who knows? Maybe Clayton Kershaw is just Sandy Koufax
in disguise. It's hard to say.
And we picked Duke Snyder because the Dodgers have had a lot of great hitters all time, but they don't have
no
a lot of people who
legendary.
sticks around.
Yeah, it's really.
I mean,
because you got the money to just throw them out once they suck and just replace them with the newest cog in the machine.
Now they have.
It's kind of like Kentucky basketball.
Yeah,
they're all really great, but it's really hard to pick one because no one stays around for more than 5 years.
I mean, nowadays you have Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts who are both signed to long-term contracts. So hopefully they'll stick around, but even still, I don't think they'll top Duke Snyder.
All right. Padres, we agreed on this one. This one's a slam dunk.
This one might have been the easiest pick all day.
Yeah, Tony Gwynn and Trevor Hoffman. Mr. If you disagree, you're just wrong.
Mr. Padre and the NL saves leader.
Yeah. The only thing I would argue is for Jake Peavy for pitcher. Jake Peavy is really close for me. He's a really underrated arm. But It's Trevor Hoffman.
Yeah.
Diamondbacks. Randy Johnson and Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, I agree.
Paul Goldschmidt leads pretty much every statistic the D-backs have. He's pretty much the only reason the Diamondbacks were relevant from like 2011 to 2019. And I know he doesn't have like the statistical accolades of like MVPs and
he won an MVP. He's got
for the Cardinals.
True. He's got multiple Gold Gloves though.
Yeah, so
even though Freddie Freeman did deserve a couple of those over him.
Yeah, he did have to move out of the desert to get his biggest accomplishment, but there's something to be said for like career, like just being great.
Yeah.
Also, it helps when the Diamondbacks have still pretty much been an irrelevant franchise, except for like 5 years that are pretty much handpicked.
Yeah.
Randomly, and one of them was when the pitcher Randy Johnson literally carried them to a World Series. So, you know.
And then Brandon Webb just kind of from Ashland, by the way. Cy Young. I mean,
casual. He does it every day, bro.
And then he blew his elbow out and quit.
All right, Giants. We felt like this one was
pretty easy too.
A lot of the NL is pretty cut and dry.
Yeah,
a lot more than the American League, which feels really strange. Barry Bonds, Christy Mathewson. I'm not a big fan of Barry Bonds. I think he's a cheater.
I agree. Hank Aaron is the home run king.
But for this list, I'll include him. If I was feeling in one of my moods where I was like, I'm totally anti Bonds, I would have said Willie Mays.
I would agree with that. Who is actually, fun fact, Willie Mays is Barry Bonds' godfather.
Interesting.
He played on a team with Bobby Bonds.
Okay. And then Christy Mathewson for pitcher.
Another super old guy, but
a goodie.
Stud.
Yeah, had like a 1 ERA.
If we were picking a more recent pitcher, it'd probably be Tim Lincecum or Bumgarner.
For sure.
The greatest World Series pitcher of all time is Bumgarner.
Rockies.
Ubaldo Jimenez and Todd Helton.
Yeah, easy W's. Ubaldo Jimenez, for whatever reason, I always remember him as an Oriole. And I will always remember that there's a video from my favorite YouTuber, and it's like, Blue Jays, extra innings approach you. Will you go with the mystery pitcher and Ubaldo Jimenez, who has a 10 ERA and is definitely going to blow this inning for you? Or will you go with the white-hot closer who's about ready to finish first or second in the Cy Young Award racing? What will you pick? Surely you'll pick the white-hot closer, Zach Brown. No, you went with Ubaldo Jimenez, and they hit a home run to win the game.
Yeah.
So I always remember that for Ubaldo Jimenez. Pretty trash player. But when you play at Coors Field, you don't typically have very good pitching numbers.
Yeah, really.
And then for Todd Helton, just good statistical numbers, 3 Gold Gloves, 5-time All-Star, leads the Rockies in home runs. Just really, once again, kind of like Paul Goldschmidt, like nothing jumps at you off the charts.
I feel like if Arenado would have stayed a little longer.
Like, this division has been ruled over by the Giants and Dodgers so long that it has made 2 of the biggest basement franchises in any sports ever in the Rockies and Diamondbacks.
And the worst part about it is that the Dodgers and Giants both used to be in New York and would not be in their division now. But they both moved, and that made the monstrosity that is the New York Mets. That's why their colors are orange and blue. It's Dodgers blue and Giants orange because they moved out of New York.
All right, Brewers.
Let's see. Brewers, I went with Josh Hader and Robin Yount.
I went with Raleigh Fingers and Robin Yount. Robert Yount is a pretty consensus pick.
Yeah.
2-time MVP, leads the franchise in WAR. Just one of the Brewers' best, obviously the best player in Brewers history, if we both agree.
Yeah.
Because, we clearly know everything about sports.
Oh, everything. Absolutely everything.
And then Raleigh Fingers, I believe he's probably the second best closer, maybe ever.
Yeah,
he wasn't
exists.
Yeah, he was the 1981 MVP.
That's impressive. But Josh Hader was 3-time reliever of the year, by the way. Hey, 161 saves. 2-time All-MLB. I mean, if you look at... you don't like all the old people, but you picked Raleigh Fingers over Josh Hader.
Raleigh Fingers was the 1981 MVP.
Yeah, that's impressive, but...
You said old-timer.
He's old.
Raleigh Fingers?
That's 40 years ago.
I said from 1950 onwards.
Still 40 years ago. That's still 40 years ago.
You had Walter Johnson.
Walter Johnson won 3 MVPs. Walter Johnson won 3 MVPs.
War One.
2.17 career ERA.
R's. Widespread. All right, so for the Reds, Pete Rose for the hitter, obviously the greatest hitter of all time.
Second. I got Ichiro.
And then Jose Rio for the pitcher. He had a sub-3 ERA in his first 6 years as the pitcher for the Reds. And then he was the World Series MVP against the Athletics. So, once again, the Reds don't have like a superstar pitcher.
Tom Seaver. That's my pick.
Only played 3 seasons for the Reds, I think.
No, he didn't.
How many?
He played like 6. Or something like that. It was 4 or 5 or 6. He is in the Reds Hall of Fame. He was a league leader in wins, and he threw a no-hitter while he was on the Reds. And he's Tom Seaver.
I think wins are overrated, but that's a topic for another day. Pirates, I have Roberto Clemente and Babe Adams.
Neither of us know who Babe Adams is. We both have him as the...
Shut up, you can't tell them that.
I'm pretty sure what I saw earlier said he played from 1900 to like 1910 on the Pirates. We don't know who this guy is. Never heard of him before today. And Roberto Clemente is kind of a no-brainer. I did have somebody tell me earlier that it was... who's the guy who's got the super high-selling baseball card?
Honors Wagner?
I think Connor Hamilton.
Once again, he played in World War One. So, like, if you played around World War One, you're irrelevant. Sorry. Unless your name is Babe. Because then you're Babe Adams, and I need you for my list to make sense. So, okay. Cardinals.
Don't know who that guy is.
Stan Musial. He spent his entire career with the Cardinals. 3 MVPs, 3 rings, 24 All-Star games. 24. If that's not a record, I would be utterly shocked.
Hank Aaron's got 27.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. Color me surprised.
Or I know he's got more. He's got the record for most All-Star appearances. I don't know if it's 27, but he's got like 25 or something.
Definitely Stan Musial, best all-time player for the Cardinals, and then I've got Bob Gibson as their pitcher.
Albert Pujols and Bob Gibson.
He's one of those guys who's like, it's kind of like I'm not a basic girl. I'm not a basic I'm not a basic sports guy. I don't pick Stan Musial.
Say his name right. Musial. I hate you.
I'm going to keep doing it until you change your pick so that you get to say it right. All right.
Albert Pujols won 2 rings, hit 469 home runs, 3 MVPs, just like Musial, 2 Gold Gloves.
He still has 1 more ring.
6-time Silver Slugger, and he was only a 9-time All-Star, but still.
No.
If he would have stayed in St. Louis his entire career, he would have been better than Musial.
Okay, but he didn't. All right. Cubs is Fergie Jenkins and Ernie Banks.
Yeah, I agree, with a close second in pitcher being Greg Maddux.
All right, so with that out of the way, it's time to move on to our final division. So I'll let you kind of take the lead for this division since it's the NL East.
It is my division. So for the Braves...
And since we got all the same players, you can just start listing them.
Well, we have all the same players except for 1.
Yeah.
For the Braves, Greg Maddux and Hank Aaron, I don't really feel like there's much of an argument there.
No.
The home run king and the pitcher who's got the greatest control over a ball ever.
I would argue, but
You can't argue. How? Who?
Randy Johnson.
No. Mm-mm. That's the dumbest take I've ever heard.
No.
Absolutely, you're stupid. Phillies, Roy Halladay, once again, and Mike Schmidt, one of the greatest third basemen of all time.
Yeah.
Halladay threw a no-hitter in his first ever playoff game, didn't he?
I don't know.
Or in a World Series game or something like that. Impressive.
I think it was for the Blue Jays. He threw a shutout.
No, he threw a no-hitter in the playoffs for the Phillies. I know that.
Yeah. But for the Blue Jays, no. It says nothing about the World Series.
I don't know if he ever played the World Series. The Phillies do have a World Series, don't they?
Yeah, they won with Roy Halladay.
Yeah, I think he's the only player to throw a no-hitter in the World Series, I believe. Something like that. For the Mets, we both have Tom Seaver and Mike Piazza. For the Nationals, one of them wasn't technically a National. We have
You have to count the Expos.
Max Scherzer and Vladimir Guerrero. And then for the Marlins, we both have, rest in peace, Jose Fernandez. And where we disagree, I have Giancarlo Stanton.
And I went with Miguel Cabrera simply because Miggy has the ring. No, he didn't get the second one. He wasn't there for the second one.
Giancarlo Stanton's got an MVP hit. He leads the Marlins' history in home runs, RBIs, total bases. No, actually, some dude named Luis Castillo was also a dog in Miami. I don't know who that guy is. The only Luis Castillo I know is from Mariners.
I'm going to go with D. Gordon. Notorious speedster D. Gordon.
Look, D. Gordon, the game after Jose Fernandez died, is the greatest Marlin of all time.
Literally, that game, that home run is goated. Literally.
Yeah, or D. Gordon playing for the Dodgers on Jackie Robinson Day.
This man
he had a walk-off home run in that game.
It's like he's able to hit a home run every single time, but he only does it on like special occasions.
Yeah,
just to let you know, like, I'm him. You know.
Yeah. So that's our goats. Come back next week for our checkup on the
mid-season predictions.
And
maybe we might need to change some things. I'm looking really good with my Diamondbacks pick. I think I'm killing it.
And we have some other stuff coming. Some other goats. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. Who knows? But that's it for the notebook this week. And move on to our next segment. Yep. So, heard you got some decent news in your life recently.
So we had a cat named Morris, and I'm not really sure. I don't think we told this story on the podcast yet. But Morris was our stray cat that we'd picked up during COVID. This story's actually going to start off really awful and horrible, but it'll get better, I promise. He was a cat that lived with us, that we kind of fed during COVID. It kept getting closer and closer and closer to the house. And we kept feeding it, and eventually we kind of tamed him to a point, as much as you can with any neighborhood stray cat. And he kind of became like our actual cat that just kind of lived outside and kind of roamed around. And he was super fun. Loved him a lot. He'd come up and sit in my lap on the porch. He was a good boy. He was kidnapped.
Yeah, whoever did that. We were hunting you down.
By a random man who doesn't even live here. Came to visit his parents. Probably to live in their basement because he's a loser. Stole our cat. Posted on Twitter, Facebook, saying that he picked up a random stray cat on the side of the road that just let him take him in. Yeah, Morris, it's your fault that you were stolen. Stop. Don't trust random strangers.
Morris, if you're watching this, please come back. We miss you.
I'm so angry at this person for stealing my cat.
Oh, if anybody stole my cat, I think I would have a John Wick moment. It would get bad. It would get really bad if somebody touched Carly.
And then, so now we have Morris's girlfriend who has given birth to some kittens in the garage.
It's a long distance relationship.
And
FaceTime
we
every
joked
night.
that Morris is literally the worst father ever. Literally leaving.
He didn't really. It wasn't his choice. he got picked up. Got
Literally stolen.
the opposite of taken. Liam Neeson got kidnapped this time. The daughter has to hunt him down.
Yeah. Literally, one of the cats, we call him Batman. He'd definitely be the one to do it.
Yeah, go.
So those 4 kittens are super cute, and if you want one, you definitely can have one, because my family do not want to keep them. So,
I would love a new cat. See, I would love a new cat, but we actually just got a new dog.
all right, go.
So
What do you want to talk about today?
oh man, my new dog, Daisy. She's a black lab golden retriever mix. And so
He is a really dumb dog.
I do. Starting back in 2020 when we got said dumb dog, Stormy, a silver lab, purebred silver lab. My sister actually it starts with my mom. So she mentioned that, hey, quarantine, we're home all the time. This would be a great time to raise a dog, which my sister had been asking for a while. And so, my sister takes that to mean, let's get a dog. So she whines and cries a little bit. Ends up making a whole PowerPoint presentation about why we need to get a dog.
Oh, man.
So we know these people who are having a litter of labs. And so
You happen to get the dumbest one.
we got the runt of the litter. The runt of the litter is still 75 pounds, mind you. Her siblings are huge. And so my mom eventually says yes. We go and get the dog. We raise her. She's 3 years old now. Dumber than a box of rocks, but we love her. For some reason, she likes him. He doesn't reciprocate the feeling.
She will literally lay upside down on the couch, because like when you walk into his house, the first thing there is, it's like a couch laid, like if this is the door, the couch is like right here, and the dog will lay on the couch and like wait for me to pet it. I want nothing to do with this dog, and it does not understand that, and it will literally lay there.
He doesn't want much
Until
to do
the
with his own
dog-
dog either, so.
Like, that's not true. I love Koa. She's a good girl. This dog does not understand that I want nothing to do with it. Like, I will sit down on the couch and it will run and try to climb on top of me. I'm not a jungle gym. I do not look like a jungle gym. I am not a dog mat. I will not be treated as such. The dog will stay on the floor as God intended. Okay? Dogs belong on the floor.
We love
Your
Stormy.
animals do not understand this.
That's fine. We love Stormy. Everybody else loves Stormy too. You're the only one.
I hate Stormy.
Cole loves Stormy.
Well, that makes sense.
And so my sister, after Stormy, probably around the time Stormy turned 2, kept asking if we could get another dog. And my mom kept saying no. No. So my sister, PowerPoint presentation worked the first time. Let's make another one. So she does that whole thing. Doesn't work. Cries, tears, flood. No bridge was built. It was not gotten over. So this continued for probably a year. And then we found out that somebody who lived near the family that we got Stormy from recently had a litter of puppies that they were just giving away for free. Because, fun fact, their golden retriever was a 100% purebred golden retriever certified breeder. But their son let it out because they lived on a farm, so he was just used to letting it out. But she was in heat. So she ran off and got pregnant from a black lab. And you can't really sell those puppies because they're mutts and they're not supposed to, really exist. They're accidents, but I love Daisy. So my sister tried to convince my mom, and we all go to bed. We don't think we're getting the dog. Apparently, while my parents were upstairs, my mom asked my dad, and told him to be as honest as possible. She said, "Do you really want another dog?" And my dad said yes. So my mom texts my sister. She goes, "We can get the dog." Sister says, "Really?" My mom said, "Why would I say that if we couldn't?" So my sister calls me, bawling her eyes out. And I thought Stormy had like died or something. It was bad. And she goes, "They said we could get the dog."
But they already had a dog.
Yes, we already had a dog. But we
Such an extreme reaction.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I was like, okay. So then we decided on which one we wanted. We picked it up the next day, and now we have Daisy.
Good for Daisy.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's not as dumb as Stormy.
Who knows? Who knows? All right, we're going to take a short break, plan out the next little bit. We'll be right. Well, for you all, it won't be any time really. But all right, we're back.
I have a Sprite now.
He does, and I met the kittens. So
aren't they cute? Tell the viewer how cute they are and that they want one.
Very cute, and you want one. Ooh, hypnosis. Ooh. So, the last part of our podcast, a lot of you might tune out. I don't really care. That's your decision. So, both of us are Christians. We
love the Lord here at the Spinoffs podcast.
Said it before.
It's the
We'll say it
tagline.
again.
It's the tagline.
We'll make merch. And every summer, I go to a camp up in Blue Creek, Ohio. A lot of you definitely don't know where that is. I don't know. But a lot of people say that Disney World is the best place on earth. You're being lied to.
You're also probably a cheerleader.
Probably, but no, Camp Tarhee is definitely my favorite place on the face of this planet. It's only $50 a person as opposed to these $400 camps that, we don't have much. We have a creek instead of a pool. Oh, well,
Creek.
Let's
go play in the creek.
We have the crick. We have cabins that aren't really air conditioned. Oh well. We're not there for air conditioning. We're not there for paintball. We're not there for pool time. We're there for the Lord. It's different. If you're going to church camp for reasons other than God, you're not going for the right reasons. And this is a place that has no cell service at all, so you don't have anything to distract you from your one goal in life, which should be to get into the gates of heaven. And now I'm really sure a lot of them have tuned out. I'm preaching now. So it's only $50 a person. I'll put the link to the website in the description below if anybody wants to check it out. I just want everybody to know that I really do speak from the bottom of my heart when I'm talking about this place. I love this place with everything in me. We have a junior week for kids who are going in, I think, either going into or leaving 4th grade until you leave 7th grade. And then there's senior week for those who leave 7th grade going into your last year as a camper, which would be leaving your senior year, which is what I will be doing. And this, as the last year that I can be a camper, it is kind of bittersweet for me. But I'm excited to be a counselor and a CIT for the years to come. And no matter where I'm living, I will always come back here for the first 2 weeks of July every summer. And I'm sure if you all go, you will too. It is genuinely the best place on earth. Everybody there is so kind. A lot of people mistake me for outgoing and fun or whatever, but I really don't like new people. I have a hard time talking and reaching out to new people, but there, I felt immediately at home. I felt like everybody wanted to know me. Everybody got to know me. It was a blast. And I still have all of my shirts. You get a shirt every year, maybe a sweatshirt. I have my first shirt that I've ever had. It has a mountain range, and it says God, or G greater, the greater than, then higher, lower. God is greater than your highs and lows. He is with you at the top of the mountain, and He is with you at the bottom of the valley. He will never leave your side, and I feel like the back of that shirt has 4 signatures on it, and those 4 people have meant so much to me in my life, and they're really the ones who made me feel loved at Tarhi. And I mean, really everybody did, but I kind of just didn't know many people. I hung around them more than anybody else, and 2 of them I had already known for a solid 10 years of my life at least. But I had a blast, and ever since then, and then my second year actually, 2 of them weren't there, and I had to get to know a whole bunch of new people, and it was awesome. My third year was COVID year, which sucked because we had to do it virtually, which at least I still got to see everybody. That was fun. And then my fourth year, or my third, was it my fourth? Yeah, my fourth year was last year, I think. My math is definitely off. One of the years, the year after COVID, was one of my favorite years ever. There were a few things that could have gone better, in my opinion, for me, but I know the sermons, the messages that we heard that night, or that week, were just amazing. I loved every minute of it. We play softball every year, and I remember we're in the middle of a game. I'm standing, playing my position at second base. Ball gets hit to me. I catch it, throw the guy out at first. Then sky opens up, rain, downpour. Everyone is soaked, but we don't stop the game. It is probably my favorite camp memory. Just a torrential downpour. Playing softball, everybody slipping and sliding everywhere. It was amazing. And then that night we had the most powerful sermon of the week. And I mean, I will admit, I cried. Everybody cried. We call it cry night. If you go to the church camps, you probably have that too. It's just the emotions from build up from the beginning of the week to that night. You see your friends and your loved ones around you start crying, and you can't really help yourself. It just...
I've never cried in years.
All right.
I don't cry.
If he goes to church camp and he cries, I will put a video of that on the podcast.
What he's trying to say is if you go to Camp Tardy, he'll give you a free autograph.
I will. Sure. I don't care.
He's a really down-to-earth superstar, social media star.
It's only $50 a person. It's, again, I can't stress this. It is the greatest place on earth. We have multiple people over the camp, the board. All of them are former campers. They've been there. They've experienced exactly what you're doing. They've done it all. It's awesome. The counselors all know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. We have multiple people who work in the medical field on staff. So if something were to happen, you would be able to be fixed, I guess. I don't know. I'm diabetic, fun fact. So they've helped me a lot with that. If I never needed anything, they're always there for me. And I don't really know what else to say, but just check the link in the description. I don't know if I've convinced any of you to go, but if I have,
He'll be your friend.
Yeah, sure, I'll be your friend. I don't care.
He's a really nice guy.
I am.
He's really humble too.
Totally. So is he, actually. He's the most humble person I know. if anybody watching this does decide to go, I'll be there. He might be there. You might meet your favorite podcast hosts.
I might be on a cruise ship somewhere in the Caribbean. Personally.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It'll be an adjustment at first, but you'll get used to it. It's awesome.
And then apparently you'll get to cry, which is just amazing.
Yeah, don't listen to him.
Crying is weakness. All right, so next week we'll try to have another sports segment. We're going to try to do those updated predictions. And then next week, I thought we would discuss Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 because I feel like that's an appropriate amount of time to have seen the movie. So if you haven't already and you want to watch next week's podcast, you better get on it because we're talking about it whether you like it or not.
Yeah, we have very different opinions on this movie.
Yeah, I hate this movie.
I'm not getting into it right now. But, so those are the plans for the upcoming week. I will be talking about Camp Tarhi again probably in those. I will be...
So we're going to try to continue to upload a little more frequently,
yeah,
for sure,
especially
and
when
regularly.
summer's coming up.
Right. We don't have as much to do. I'm not going to say we're going to... There's not going to be hardly a week that we don't do one of these. And we'll be a lot more consistent is the plan.
Yeah, hopefully. And there will be 2 weeks where I won't be able to have my phone. But
right.
I will put videos from those 2 weeks, pictures and videos from those 2 weeks in the podcast.
We might pre-record.
We might,
is what we might just do.
I wouldn't be able to upload them while I was
I'll do it.
All right. But I'll put some videos and pictures from my time at camp. And if any of you go, but check the link in the description and pre-register to go to Camp Tarhi. It'll be the best time of your life. Trust me.
And thanks for tuning in to the Spinoffs Podcast.